Hiya. Let me talk to you today about grief. It's a really interesting problem that people have. The thing with grief is there is no time limit. It's the first thing to remember about grief. When you've lost somebody, people often struggle with expectations of how they should be over it, how they shouldn't still be getting upset, how they should be getting on with their life. And yet, if you read anything about grief, it'll tell you it takes time and everybody's different. And that's the same with any problem, to be honest. We're all different, we're all unique, we all process things in our own way. Sometimes you can put off your grief, you can, because of life circumstances, you just have to keep going, and then suddenly one day it hits you. And it's almost like at that point your grieving process starts from scratch and it can take you months to get over it. And that's the problem with grief. It's not a therapy thing, it's an accepting thing. When you've lost somebody, it hurts and it sucks and it feels terrible, and a lot of the time you don't feel like you want to carry on with your life and there's no purpose. If it's somebody that you've been married to for many years or partner with, it's companionship that you've lost and you can feel very alone. And those feelings are very real, but they're temporary. They will pass in time, but you don't feel like that. And one of the worst things that people can do is encourage people to snap out of it almost, to stop crying, to get on with their life. Because if they're not in a place where they can do that, then not only do they have to deal with the overwhelming emotion of missing somebody, but they also have to deal with the pressure of expectations that they shouldn't be feeling like this. And that's the thing with feelings, they're real. Somebody else can't tell you what you should and shouldn't feel. You feel the way you do. Now, if after 6 months, a year, you still carry a belief that you can't cope and there is no point you being on your own, then yeah, therapy can really help with that. Because it's not true, it's just your subconscious taking you into a protective state. If you find you've got anxiety and panic about leaving the house because you're not used to doing that on your own, therapy can help with that. But I personally don't believe there's any therapy that can stop it hurting when you've lost somebody. And the best therapy is to just allow time to pass with no expectations of how you should be in terms of how you should feel, whether you should have stopped crying by now, whether you should be getting on with your life, taking on the world, because you will do it when you're ready, not when everybody else is ready. And I think I mentioned in one of the other videos, one of the hardest things about dealing with things like depression is there is always time in our day when we're on our own. No matter how many friends and how much family you have around you and how much support you have, there will always be time when you're on your own. And very often when you've lost somebody, it's the somebody that you would talk to, so you've got double the loneliness. And again, no matter how much support you have, they still go home and you're still on your own. So when you're processing that intense emotion, something that's so very difficult to rationalize and that you can't rationalize, the last thing you need is an expectation of how you should be processing it. You need to just be. It's okay to feel not okay. But it's temporary. One day it will get better. Doesn't have to be tomorrow, doesn't have to be even next month. But to know that it's okay to feel the way you feel, because one day you will feel better. It will pass, it will get easier. And that's the thing with grief. It will get easier. It always does eventually. But you can't necessarily see that when you're in the early stages. So, in my opinion, the best way to deal with being really upset because you've lost somebody, feeling really alone, feeling like your world has ended, is to just accept that it's okay to feel that way. And that one day it will change when you're ready. And when you're ready, you can start focusing on small achievements in your day, little things that you can do to get through your day. Or even acknowledging those things that you already are doing to get through your day that you didn't realize. And yet, if you find yourself getting to a point where you just can't find a way past this, and that could be months and months and years even, then somebody like me can help. Because it's just your subconscious. If you find panic attacks, that kind of thing that you didn't used to have, it's just your subconscious. If you believe you can't cope on your own, that's just your subconscious. But you do that too soon when you haven't worked through your grief, and it's hard to make it stick. It's hard to achieve any results until you've accepted that it's okay to be upset. It's okay to feel rubbish. It's okay to not want to do anything with your life, to have no purpose, to have nothing else, because actually getting through your day is your purpose when you've lost somebody you care about. It seems like an awful long time of me waffling on about grief, but just kind of wanted to share that thought. And having somebody to talk to can be the best thing. And when you're working with somebody, when you're a friend of somebody who's grieving, it's not the rush of the funeral and all those early days that they need your support. It's in months' time, months and months down the line, when they need somebody to talk to and they feel that everybody's fed up of hearing them talk. That's when you can be a really good friend to them. To always be willing to let them talk about the person they've lost, no matter what, and let them be upset. Tell them it's okay to